Hey guys, I'm back again and I am here to do a video surrounding September shorts. Okay, so I didn't know about this, but I was talking to my friend Patrice and she was talking about, I'm trying to get my books together for September short. And so I said, well, what's that? So I think the basis is to read books that are 200 or just like a little bit over 200 pages and less in the month of September. So I decided to do a video on some of my favorite sort of short books to give you ideas of what you could read if you want to participate in September short. Okay, so let's get started. My first book is this fantastic book called Citizen, an American Lyric by Claudia Rankine. Okay, now, I love this book. I really love this book. I remember when I first picked it up, I was astounded because I wasn't really sure what it was going to be like. But it's sort of like little short essays on the state of America, its social and economic political difficulties. And she mixes her little short essay pieces with different types of artwork and photography that kind of illustrates what she's talking about. So I highly recommend this one if you haven't read it. Now I know she has another book out. Don't remember the name of that one, and I have not sadly gotten a chance to get to that one. But I highly recommend this one. This is surefire right here. Okay, the next book on my list is a poetry collection. It's called Pepper Seed by Malika Booker. I think that's how she pronounces her name. It's Malika. And oh my goodness, this book, like, I have to admit, like, I like reading poetry. I don't think I read it enough, to be honest. But when I do read it, I read things that I know that are surefire that I'm gonna love. And this one I picked up on the whim. Malika Booker is actually from Guyana. And I think she might be living in the UK, if I'm not mistaken. But this is a collection that discusses the culture and also immigration from Guyana to the UK kind of poetry. So, for example, the pieces of poetry can be super short and very long, but they're very easy to understand what she's talking about. And it gives you a good insight into the Guyanese culture. And I feel like Malika Booker is one of those poets that a lot of people don't know. But let me tell you, this one is really, really good. And it's super short. This collection's only like 81 pages or something like that. So I highly recommend this one. Okay. The next book on my list is Family Life by Akhil Sharma. And I read this one with my book club here in Normandy. This was years ago, maybe 6 years ago or 5 years ago. But I have this thing. I love Indian writers and the way Indian writers tell their stories. And this one I found to be very interesting. Now, as talking about shortness, it's 210 pages. So I'm including this one because it reads fairly quickly, and it's a very interesting topic. This idea of having to do something as your duty to the family when you're not really keen on doing it, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to read a little bit of the back so you can get an idea of what it's about. So it says, for 8-year-old AJ and his older brother Birju, life in Delhi in the late 1970s follows a comfortable, predictable routine. Bathing on the roof, queuing for milk, playing cricket in the street. Yet everything changes when their father finds a job in America. A land of carpets and elevators, swimsuits and hot water on tap, life is exciting for the two brothers as they adjust to prosperity, girls, and 24-hour TV until one hot, sultry day when everything falls apart. Darkly comic, Family Life is a story of a boy torn between duty and survival amid the ruins of everything he once knew. So I feel like this is the kind of story that everybody and everywhere can relate to this honor or duty that you have towards doing something for your family that you kind of don't really want to do. The repercussions of doing it, what it has on you, the repercussions of doing it, what it has on your relationship with your family. Yeah. So this one, I tell you, is a great book for a book club because we had some really great discussions on this one. I highly recommend it. Okay, the next book I have on my list is Tony Khan, Knights of the Creaking Bed, an intriguing insight into the lottery of life and lust in Lagos. Whoo, child. This one right here is so freaking good. Now, this one was kind of shocking in places, and I was just like, where are we going with this? But let me tell you, 157 pages, really, really interesting. This almost became a Read So Lit pick one month, but they chose the other novel. But I read this one, so I'll read a little bit of the back so you can kind of get what it's about. Knights of the Creaking Bed is full of colorful characters involved in affecting dramas. A middle-aged housewife who finds love again but has an impossible decision to make. A young man who can't get the image of his naked, beautiful mother out of his mind. A child so poor he has to hawk onions on Christmas Day, and many others. Some initially full of hope find their lives blighted by the cruelty of others and by being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or by just not knowing the right people. So just those last two parts, not knowing the right people and not being in the right place at the right time, tells you a lot, because we all can probably cite some stories where that shit has happened, okay? And Tony Khan, yeah, he's killing it with this one. This is actually called a Cassava Shorts. This is in their Cassava Shorts collection. I highly recommend this one. I read it I think I read it in an afternoon or something, or a day. It's just that good. I really, really enjoyed it. And this is, like I said, Cassava Republic, which is a small, independent Nigerian publishing company. And you should definitely support them. They do a lot of work to put out top-notch books. Like, they don't do mediocre at this independent publishing company. Trust me, they don't. I have a collection over there of Cassava Republic, and there isn't one that I don't love. Okay, just to remind you. Okay, the next book on my list is this one by L. Nathan John, Becoming Nigerian, A Guide. Now, this one I read off of the heels of reading other things by L. Nathan John. I really enjoy his Born on a Tuesday. I enjoyed that book a lot. That's a 5-star book. I highly recommend it. But this one, he wrote as sort of like an ode to his country, Nigeria. And it is sort of like a satire on this idea of, what is the King Nigerian really like? And he basically goes through every aspect of Nigerian life in order to critique in a very humoristic fashion what it is to be Nigerian or what happens in Nigeria. Now, I've never been to Nigeria, so when I did read this book, I was reading it with Sarah from Books and Rhymes. And so that helped guide me through, because I don't know Nigeria and have never been there. I've only met a few Nigerians. And we had a blast laughing at some things. I was like, should I be laughing right now? Because I'm laughing, kind of thing. And I highly recommend it. It's very funny. It's written in like little short kinds of things about different aspects. For example, dying and not having your death be, dramatic, having people forget about you like 2 seconds after you died, how to be sick, how to use a business card. It has all of the things of how to become Nigerian. It's very funny. I highly recommend this one. It's a fast read. It's pretty funny. It'll be even better if you can read it with a fellow Nigerian, because then they can fill in some of the gaps that you don't, really know. But I highly recommend this. This is a really good one. Okay, this next one is called Ayiti, and this is by Roxane Gay. This is a very, very short little ditty of short stories around living in Haiti. And actually, I think one of the short stories in here is the precursor to her other book, which is called, I can't remember what it's called, that other one. I'll put it down here, the book. This was very interesting because it almost feels like they're written like off of her gut emotion at the time. But the short stories really do explore different aspects of the difficulty of being poor in Haiti. And in doing so, she does encapsulate a lot of the culture as well. It's just done so well. I mean, it's short. Now, you may get the feeling that it's like, ugh, I want a bit more. But I feel like that's just the makeup of short stories. It's something that I've had to kind of get used to. It's hard. It's hard for me to get used to stories that end on a bloop like this. But what I do realize is that from a short story can come a really, interesting novel. And so I can't remember which one in here. Let me see if I can figure it out. Which one in here novel it came from this one. I can't remember the name of which one it is right now, but I highly recommend this one. And it did get signed. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. It did get signed. So did this one. This one got signed too. Look at that. L. Nathan John. Yes. The next one on my list is this one, which is J. California Cooper's A Piece of Mine. Now, this, I think, was the second J. California Cooper that I read. And I don't know if you can see, but down there, right there, is my J. California Cooper collection, right next to my Bernice McFadden collection. So yeah, this was the second one. And this is really a bunch of little short stories that revolve around like parables, love stories. They're like a little bit like kind of monologue, but in a good way. I highly recommend it. You cannot go wrong with J. California Cooper. This one was a wealth of understanding humanity and the way people work. And she's the kind of person that could defuse some mess, which is one phrase. That's the kind of woman she was. I highly recommend anything by J. California Cooper. This is my second one. I did enjoy it. And like I said, it's super short. It's 100 and I think 25 pages or something like that. Yeah, it's like 25 pages. And you can't go wrong with these short, like I said, stories that give you life. They really do pump life into you. They pump positivity in you. It's really something that you should experience if you have never read any J. California Cooper. I highly recommend that you pick up like anything. I've only read A Piece of Mine, Homemade Love, and one other one I read, but I still have some other ones to go. But yeah, get this one. This one is real good, and it's a fast read. Next on my list, I have this Incognegro. These are graphic novels. Now, since I've been living in France, I've become a graphic novel hoe because I love me a good graphic novel. This is a country that loves graphic novels, and that's where, I get my love of it from. My husband is a big graphic novel reader. I'm in my daughter's room, which I've turned into my office. And I'm looking at a bunch of manga and graphic novels across from me that are hers. Yeah, we are some graphic novel lovers in this family. And this is a graphic novel called Incognegro, and this is by Matt Johnson. And I think I've talked about this one before on here. Either I did a review or something. But this is a book about the main character. His name is, let me see if I can remember what this dude's name is. Zane Pinchback. Okay, so he's a club reporter. This is supposed to be like, I think the early 20s or something like that. And Zane is very light-skinned. So much so, he's white passing. And what does he do, Zane? He goes down to the South when he gets a whiff that there's going to be a lynching. And he invites himself to this lynching. And what he does is he takes down the maximum amount of names of the people that were there, if he can get them, and who the person is being. He does a whole spread on the lynching. And then if he's lucky enough to get out alive, then he goes back up to New York and he writes a story and it goes into the paper that he works for. So this one is where you discover who Zane Pinchback is. And this is a second story. It's sort of got a murder and mystery going on in the second one. I really enjoyed these. I think Zane Pinchback is an interesting character. I just wish Matt Johnson would have continued. And I wish that his publishers would have made the books the same damn size. Because, like, what the mess is going on here? I don't know. But anyway, but I highly recommend this one. Matt Johnson is an interesting storyteller, and Zane Pinchback is an interesting character. So I highly recommend these. They're really short and very interesting. Okay, and last but not least on my list, I have this one, which is called Quarter, Stories by Naguib Mahfouz. And this one, I think it was put together posthumously, and it basically tells the story of a quarter in Cairo called Gamaliel, is how it's pronounced. Gamaliel Quarter in Egypt and in Cairo. And I found these very, very good. Now, Naguib Mahfouz is a writer that I really, really enjoy. And I just read a Naguib Mahfouz called Midak Alley with my podcast buddy, Christy. So if you're interested in hearing what we thought about Midak Alley, which is also by Naguib Mahfouz, you can go over to our podcast and listen to us shoot the shit about that. But this one is very well done because the stories, they give you like the makeup of this quarter through different characters. So it is linked to a certain extent. And another good thing about this book is, so if you've never been to Cairo before, you really do get the feel of it through these characters and through their experiences. But not only that, you get a foreword by the great Alif Shafak. Okay, now I love me some Alif Shafak. She's very, very, very interesting, very cool. And she's very into getting into what makes a community, what makes people who they are. And this particular little ditty, The Quarter, is a good way to get into that kind of thing, which is what makes a neighborhood, who are these people, and what are their roles? What are their roles? And then it makes you think about the roles in your own community and your own neighborhood. So I feel like this is a really good place to start because it's just little short stories. If you're not into reading, Palace Walk or, this is a good way to discover Naguib Mahfouz in a shorter small works. Because keep in mind, Naguib Mahfouz wrote tons of short stories, tons of novels. So highly recommend this one. And it is only 87 pages And what I love is in the back of the book, it has Naguib Mahfouz's handwritten notes of some of the stories that he wrote and that they put together in this one. So freaking cool. Anyway, so that's all I have for you today. I hope some of these will help you if you are wanting to do September short. If not, maybe if you just want something short any time of the year, any of these would be perfect. They're all really interesting, fast reads. So comment below and tell me some of your short novels or poetry collections or even graphic novels that you would recommend. Let's comment and exchange below. I'll see you real soon. Bye.